Hello, good evening, and welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We are once again very glad to have you, many of you, in front of your TV screens this evening to follow what package we have in store for you. We certainly are not going to disappoint you because we are ready and fully armed for this evening. We are going to be looking at the sentencing of Ayuk Tabe Sisisiku and 9 others in connection with what is ongoing in the country, and notably the ongoing Anglophone crisis. We know that they were arrested in Nigeria 2018 January and were brought to Cameroon. Since then, they have been facing the courts of Cameroon in succession, and 2 days ago they were slammed life sentencing. So we are going to be discussing that with our panelists in the house. 2 are already here, 2 say they are on their way, caught in traffic. Walang Abang is in the house with us already. He is the director of the Mahatma
Leadership Center.
He equally is a political analyst. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. It's always a pleasure for me to be here on this wonderful platform to analyze the situations that are taking place in our wonderful country, and I hope I'm going to be able to live up to the expectations of the viewers out there. Thank you.
Equally already in the house is Apostle Ambi Valentine Ngwa. He is a man of God, but also very, very interested on issues of politics, a political analyst also. We are glad to have you. Good evening.
Thank you very much, and good evening, televiewers. I'm so excited to be on this platform today to contribute on quarter for the nation building. We appreciate you for being part of this telecast, and we are excited to be here. Good evening.
We are expecting Ellie Smith to be joining us in the course of the program. We equally are expecting Salomon Bias, who is also on his way coming. But we begin our discussions. Walang Abang, you got the news like any other Cameroonian that the Naira 10 who were brought in from Nigeria were sentenced to life imprisonment. Your first impressions when you got the news?
Well, my first impression was, that of a mixed feeling. I finally relieved a sigh, of relief. I had a sigh of relief, because this case, excuse me, this case had been adjourned so many times in the military court in Yaoundé. And I was like, finally, there is a verdict. And, people had been anticipating, people had been doing forecasts on, the kind of verdict or the irregularity of the case. And, the military court finally took the bull by the horn and then passed a verdict. Although, this comes now into my second, mood as far as the verdict is concerned. Although I thought that the timing of the verdict was ill-conceived, given that even the government is in a campaign, very serious campaign. Most of the ministers, most of the top personalities of the government are in a serious campaign to promote back to school in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, which have suffered from this crisis for about 3 years now, and which have seen a majority of these regions, a larger part of these regions not having anything to do with school for the past 3 years. So that in essence, in summary, that's how I felt. I thought that it was ill-conceived, the timing was ill-conceived. They might have done it a lot earlier or a little after, schools had begun effectively in the northwest and southwest. I want to really, stress the point that I'm one of those people who supports any initiative to get children back to school within the framework of security in the northwest and southwest region. So I personally thought that this decision or this verdict had come to mar this project of going back to school in the southwest and northwest regions. I think initially that was my first impression.
Okay, Apostle, when you got the news, were you surprised? Were you taken aback?
Yes, I was actually taken aback. It was really amazing because considering the situation in the country right now, that was the last thing we expected the government to do. Because campaigns are almost in every region in the southwest or northwest or every division to make sure children go back to school. At this time where the people are looking up to their leader, and a leader they have trusted, a leader they have looked up to, a leader they have admired, at this moment in time, you slam them life in prison and you're expecting a back-to-school campaign. It's not possible. So I think the management of the case is very, very poor considering the time and the stakes.
Yeah, but like, excuse me, while I'm raised, some people were also getting tired of hearing of the case adjournment every day, now and then, and thought that the government was playing a game, and finally the government does the passes a judgment. Or the judiciary, because it's not the government yet. Yeah.
The challenge is the time. The time. It's like you are trying to, how do I put it? You are trying to fly at the same time struggling to walk. You cannot do those two things at the same time. The government at this time was supposed to have looked for a peaceful atmosphere to convince parents that there is hope, because immediately that the sentence was pronounced, there was an upheaval and uproar that break out in Bamenda in the Northwest already. And that is already mounting more tension and frustrating the idea of even going back to school. I watched a video today that parents were driven out of the street in Bamenda because they said the said president of the Ambazonian Republic has been sentenced to life imprisonment. So I think they are instead pouring more kerosene to the fire and they're adding more salt to injury by sentencing them at this particular time of the nation.
Okay, at this time, government's reaction through the voice of the government spokesman, the Minister of Communications. The government hails a sovereign and independent judiciary after military court slammed the leadership of Ambazonia. You think that the judiciary here, the military tribunal, has shown maximum proof of independence?
Well, I don't think that, you know, the way the case has been going, you know, if you look at the history of the Naira 10, they were abducted from Nigeria. It is not, you know, within the rule of law. And then they came and were kept incommunicado for a period of about 9 months. That is not within the rule of law. When they finally met their lawyers and they started going to court, the case was, at first, the magistrates spoke in French, which was very, very repugnant to the principles of vivre ensemble.
Yeah, I'm not wanting us to get into the legality. I'm looking at the fact that the judiciary was able to take the case from beginning and has handed down its sentence.
Was it free and fair? My answer is, you know, as an analyst, I think that given the way the case has moved, you know, from the time it began to now, the trial, given the way it has moved from the time it began till now, there is every indication that there is somebody, you know, who is puppeteering the magistrates. So the verdict, to me, is not impartial. It is something that has been prepared, you know, to suit the political whims and caprices of the government of Cameroon. That's what I think.
When you say it has been prepared to benefit politically the government of Cameroon, how would such a sentence benefit the government from a political standpoint?
Well, I think that the government of Cameroon, you know, without being too hard, has always used this kind of repressive measure to, you know, and it goes a long way. You know, yes, they have always been repressive in solving their problem. So it is benefiting them in their own way of, you know, clambering down on anybody who protests, you know. But I want to say that without knowing, I don't know the intentions of the government after this, but without getting into that, I think that the government has legitimized the struggle, because there were so many people, both national and internationally, who were not so concerned about, you know, who the person of Ayutabe was. But at this moment, like Mandela, like the Mandela factor in South Africa, you know, sentencing him, you know, to life imprisonment is giving some kind of a legitimacy, some kind of a recognition. That is what I think the government has not thought about very well, you know, in their strategy. They have given him some kind of a recognition, and international organizations and, you know, the international community will become more interested in the faith of Ayutabe, because they also think and thought that the abduction in Nigeria was not within the confines of the law. And now the sentence comes to prove that, you know, the government has been very, very impartial in the way they have handled, or they have been very, very partial, please. They have been very partial in the way of handling this crisis and the Naira 10 incidents.
Now, if everybody sees that the timing is wrong, we're still going to come to the timing. Isn't it also because of the infighting noticed by the government amongst the so-called Ambazonian leadership that presented Ayuk Tabe Julius as an impeached president who has been vomited by his people, because we've seen lots of insults that were thrown at him, and the government felt that, okay, he no longer wields that power and has been abandoned by his own, so sentencing him or not. What I'm asking is that, did the cacophony not also help to present Ayuk Tabe as a rejected leader by his people?
No, that one has nothing to do, because I think the government, first and foremost, do not consider the Ambazonian as a people. The Ambazonians, they are not considered as a people. Because if you look at it critically, Ayuk Tabe has gone to court several times and present himself as an Ambazonian, and the government has refuted that fact.
Yeah, but is he not a Cameroonian? Is there a country that is called Ambazonia on earth?
But that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm trying to let you understand, that
okay.
Ayuk Tabe presented himself as an Ambazonian
okay.
in the court. And the government has not accepted if there is any Ambazonia. That's the first thing. So secondly, for them to have calculated that the Ambazonians have rejected their president, I don't think that one should be a very important fact that the government could rely upon on sentencing Ayuk Julius Tabe. What I think I can put in a nutshell is that this whole thing is very political. How am I going to put it? For instance, if you look at Stalin in Russia made a statement in the People's Republic, in the People's Parliament in Russia. He said, get a chicken, struck off the wings, it will become frustrated. Then throw food, it will beg for that food. What I think they are doing right now is that they are trying to make us become very hopeless. Then they are going to grant amnesty to make us understand that they are being fair to us.
You say make us who? Us who?
Cameroonians.
Okay.
We are Cameroonians. We are the ones following the whole thing. We are here as Cameroonians. They're making us Cameroonians understand that we are very desperate to have Ayuk Tabe released, and then they can give now clemency from the presidency to make us understand that they have been kind to us. So this whole thing, I consider it as a very technical, political thing that is only presented as a shadow. But the real figure is behind.
Okay, the real motives behind the move are yet to be made public. We were in Buea today. We caught up with the Barrister Agbobala, who is the CEO of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa. He is equally the pioneer president of the consortium, the BANT consortium in Cameroon, who had this to say on this sentence.
The crimes that they were charged with are crimes which are punishable by the death penalty, secession, terrorism, incitement of civil war group rebellion, amongst others, carries the death penalty as per the anti-terrorism law of December 2014. So the decision was based on the terrorism law. But to say it was just or not, it's basically simple. It was an unjust decision. It was an unfair decision because the entire process from their kidnap in Nigeria to being held incommunicado at the set without having access to lawyers and families for at least 6 months, and a trial process that did not follow due process with the violation of their fundamental human rights would only lead to the conclusion that it wasn't just, it wasn't a fair process. Well, you see, I expected that people would react. You know, Siseko Ayuk Tabe and co are seen as the leaders of the separatist movement. They have a huge following, and a lot of people respect and adhere to their philosophy or their views. So it was just logical that imprisoning the leaders of the separatist movement, their supporters or sympathizers would react in one way or the other. My own wish or prayer is that let us not visit violence on our own. The people who took the decision are not in Bamenda, they're in Yaoundé. So trying to prevent women from going to the market is not helping the situation. These women are also suffering from the decision. These, our mothers and our sisters, I think they did not appreciate that judgment. So it doesn't really make much sense for them to be victimized for a decision that they did not contribute in any way, you know, for it to be taken. You see, the campaign for kids to go back to school definitely suffered a setback yesterday. It's losing a battle, but not necessarily the war. You know, it's very essential that kids should go back to school. You know, notwithstanding the decision, I think that kids should go back to school. But also, whilst we put pressure on government, not only to release the leaders, but to find a holistic solution to the problems through an all-inclusive dialogue and negotiation. It is unfortunate that the campaigns done by civil society organizations and the clergy's women's groups for kids to go back to school would be affected in one way or the other. The timing of the decision was wrong. The decision itself was wrong. You know, it's a slap on the face of those who have been, you know, clamoring for school resumption. I don't know who advise those in government, who advise those who make such decisions. But at the end of the day, I expect that the peoples of the Southern Cameroons, the kids who have not been going to school, and their parents would brave the odds and send their kids to school. But also, it would also be incumbent on government to ensure that, you know, Siseko and Co are released so that they could be part of, or they should be part of a peace process. Well, the message I would give to people in the Southwest and the Northwest is that, one, we need to be supportive of Siseko and Ayuk Dabe and Co. They are in jail not because they were fighting for themselves. They are fighting for a better future for the people of Southern Cameroons. We might disagree on the method they use, we might disagree on the end goal, but one thing we all should agree on the fact that they are there because of us, for our interest. So whether it's emotional, financial, or prayers, we should try as much as possible to support them and their family. But also we equally urge the people of the Southern Cameroons, that is Southwest, to exercise some restraint. Let them not give the military an opportunity to kill our kids, our people, under the guise that they are protesting. You know, it is a very difficult thing. I, for one, I feel personally sad because I imagine myself being with them also, so I empathize with them. And I empathize with the people of the entire Southern Cameroons who have been suffering for the past 3 years. These are people who, as a result of the struggle, has resulted to more than 2,000 of our people being killed, more than 210 of our villages being burned, more than 500,000 of our people are in IDPs, more than 50,000 in Nigeria, so more than 1,000 in jail. So this is not something that it's easy to digest. Each and every one from the geographical entity called Southern Cameroon is being affected by the crisis in one way or the other. But we should keep on resisting. We should be prayerful and hopefully put more pressure on the national and international community to try to see how they can find a long-lasting solution.
That was Barrister Agbobala speaking there to our team in Boya this afternoon. We have just been joined by Eli Smith. He's the AGC spokesperson who was struck in traffic. We're glad you are part of us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, your first impressions after news actually stormed the national and international community that Ayuk Dabe and 9 others were sentenced for life. You felt that something was right or not right somewhere?
No, it was, to me, I was disappointed.
Okay.
Because what I felt at one point was that the perpetual postponement of the verdict was a ruse from the government to kind of support any eventual dialogue that they may want to organize, and also try to appease the feelings or the anger of the people on the grassroots. So what they did to me was really disappointing, and more disappointing in the fact that we are some days or some weeks to school resumption, where they themselves felt that school should resume, and doing that with people who are the grassroots leaders of a community, of a nation, because that's something many people don't like to admit, that the provinces of the Northwest and Southwest was a nation that amalgamated with another nation. You don't kill a nation that easily. So I'm disappointed, and many people are disappointed. But on the other hand, what I think is that we should not be emotional. I want to believe, I'm kind of speculating, that perhaps there is a national dialogue that is going to come, and we live in a society whereby the president of the republic is like the alpha and omega that will always come out at the end to present himself as the best person, as a good person.
As a hero.
As a hero, and whereby there's going to be a clemency or an amnesty for them to participate. But I'm afraid that it might not yield the necessary fruits if that's what they are thinking, because what is going to happen right now is, if you have sentenced somebody, giving them such a heavy sentencing, completed with some heavy fines, then you turn around and give them an amnesty and ask them to participate in an eventual dialogue. My fear is that at the grassroots, people may not give them the credibility that they really deserve.
They'll be considered as having been compromised?
Exactly. Okay. That's the fear I have. I mean, I may be wrong. That's my perception of what is going on. So that's the reason why I think they were wrong to sentence them. They would have postponed it. And then look at the hour in which they were sentenced, around 5 or 5:30 a.m. It means simply that they were hiding the process. Either the process was too blurred, too like a kangaroo court. You need to do things during the daylight for everybody to see. So that's where I am very surprised about. I'm very shocked, but I don't want us to be emotional.
Okay. Well, Abang, many people went to the tweet by the President of the Republic some months back, where he preached forgiveness and that it was time to look to the future, forgive and forget, and would not understand why the Ayuk Tabi and the rest were not forgiven, and what they did in the past are forgotten. Why are people always quick to tie or tag the president to what is happening? Isn't this an independent judiciary affair?
Well, Mr. Bean, permit me to say that in the Constitution of Cameroon, it is stated that the president will guarantee the independence of the judiciary. It doesn't state that the judiciary is independent per se. So it is the president who decides whether the judiciary he is head of the judiciary in Cameroon. You should know that, you know. So yes, when a president lives by, you know, how do I call it, you know, preaches by example, because that's what people want to see. They want to see a man who says, I do this or I will do this, and he does it. But paradoxically, that's not been the case with the president of Cameroon. I don't know whether he's the one doing the tweets, because if he was the one doing the tweets, if you write something, at least you remember that you have written this. Okay, so if he talks about, you know, forgiving and then forging ahead in the spirit of, you know, togetherness, and he turns around to not forgive, you know, somebody as important, Mr. Eli Smith has just, you know, pointed that out, somebody as important who has the support of so many Cameroonians, about 8 million Cameroonians, because let us not forget, the Anglophones identified themselves in this struggle. And Eli Smith has just said it. That was a nation, okay? So Anglophones identified themselves. Somebody as important, whose, how do I call it, whose release from detention would have, you know, calmed down the tension, you know, in so many people. They go ahead and imprison him, it just simply says that the president is not a man of, he doesn't walk his talk. He cannot be trusted, literally speaking, because if he preaches peace, forgiveness, and then moving ahead together, and he cannot look at a case like this one, and the impact that's going to have in the country Cameroon, then he doesn't, lead by this thing. Example.
What is the message behind this sentencing, if I may ask you, Apostle? This the judiciary passing a strong message to Cameroonians that, okay, we do not spare ministers, so there is no need or reason for anybody to think that they will commit acts as what they describe as terrorism in Cameroon and go.
The judiciary is not communicating anything because it's a normal habit.
Okay.
They live that way, and they've always lived that way in this country. Let me cite instances. The case of Marafa Hamidou Yaya, all the other ministers were sentenced. The judiciary, to me, is like a tool in the hand of the president.
Are you saying that these ministers did not steal?
Even if they stole, there are people with worse crimes than them still free in the street. The only crime you will commit in this nation that will send you behind bars is a crime you threaten the post of the president. As long as you steal, you kill, you maim, you cause all kinds of atrocities, once you don't threaten the president's position, you are free. I think all those people who are behind bars are the ones who have, in one way or another, been pipped at an angle that they have threatened the existence of the president in this country.
You think the former director of Chantier Naval was eyeing the stool of the president?
Definitely.
Or former prime minister?
Zaccheaus Fonjindam.
You think that...
that was the reason, I believe, as an individual.
Now, can we come back to the case we are discussing?
Okay.
I beg to differ on the case of Zaccheaus Fonjindam.
Yeah.
It is true that if you threaten the throne of the leader of the country, you are likely to end behind bars. But I want to say it here abundantly clear that none of those people behind bar are free of the accusation they were made. They stole. Anybody who says the contrary can bring it, and then we can now compare it. Because as far as Zaccheaus Fonjindam case is concerned, I will not give names. He came and met someone who went and met, he's alive. I think he's not dead yet. Amadou Ali, the only name I can give. And when they found out, because it was, and they found out that when they came and carried out, I don't know, there's a term they use in management anyway, in his company at Chantier Naval, and he protested the outcome. And when they went for the second time, they discovered what he kind of was hiding, to say that almost all those who are behind bars in Cameroon have stolen. Now the problem is, as you said, to concur with you, there are grades of thieves. Those who steal but still support the regime and they're not threatened. But those who steal, and when they have discovered that they have a bag full of loots, they now think that they have a lot of money now to challenge the leaders, then they end up behind bars. So I beg to differ with you that.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I want to say that
Smith.
we cannot kind of exonerate an individual under the guise that, well, maybe he... But what I want to say is that most of them, I would like any one of them to come and say, yes, the accusation that I stole is wrong.
No, that one is 100% correct.
Okay.
Like I said, there are a lot of thieves who are outside, and they are very free. Once you steal, and the money probably overshadows your mind, and you feel like, okay, it's time for you to take over power, you become a victim. You go behind bars. But once you steal, and you are underground, you have no interest for the position of the president.
What are you saying in relation to the judgment that was taken day before yesterday?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that
it's because
the judiciary is like
is eyeing the position of President Paul Biya?
Not that. I didn't say so. What I'm trying to say is this. The judiciary in Cameroon, because you see, he's trying to pass a very strong message.
Yeah,
so I said, let's get back to the core of what we're discussing. The judiciary is like a toy in the hand of the president. The president uses the judiciary as a tool to accomplish his personal interest. I will clear it. That's why I started citing the cases of other ministers. Now, Ayotabe has come to separate the country. This same country of which the president is the head. And he is not willing to stay in power and allow. So if people who are threatening to take his position are kept behind bars, what of somebody who wants to split the country into two? So the judiciary is under control. Even if you go to the electorate, you see the same thing. the council is under his control. He uses it to rig elections. He uses the judiciary to accomplish his personal interests. And those people are under the judiciary. If you look at the judgment is very skeptical. Anybody who is sensible in the domain of law, we know that the whole judgment is skeptical. First and foremost, how can you pass a judgment at 5:38 a.m. in the morning? Every reasonable man will be asleep. Knowing that if they pass that judgment within the day, it will have caused an uproar. My fear is this. They may be using it as a means, like I said. Lenin in Russia said, if you want to keep a chicken, pluck off its wings. When it becomes frustrated, throw him rice. It will look at you as a god. It's the same thing they want to make us know. Cameroonians are frustrated because they have sentenced Ayotabe to life imprisonment. And then now they come with clemency. My problem is the interval between this sentence and the clemency, the damages. The atrocities that may be going on now on ground in the northwest and the southwest, we may not be able to recover from it before they finish playing their melodrama. Because I call this whole thing a melodrama.
A melodrama. Eli Smith, the AGC has been working so hard, meeting civil society organizations in Cameroon, moving across the oceans. You have been to America and to Europe to meet with some of these pro-independence activists and their leaders. You have been working, crisscrossing this nation to see how to bring peace. This decision, does it render your efforts more difficult now?
Oh yeah, very, very, very difficult. Because, you know, there were some people who were on the fence, and now those who are on the fence now have really taken side completely. Because there's another thing I want to bring about this, our Anglophone nationalism movement. It is true, because I like to speak on the basis of truth.
Okay.
The Anglophones were a nation. Everybody knows about that. That united with another one. And the cause of this problem is simply because of the violation of the fundamental law that created both countries in 1961. But on the other hand, while we are angry at what has happened or is happening or has happened yesterday, we need to also understand that the Anglophone nationalist movement or the new Anglophone nationalist leaders are also the architects of what is happening. Because you cannot have a bewildering array of nationalist groups competing against each other and having the same objective.
I ask him this question, whether Ayub Tabe has not been rendered a lame duck and
Yes.
that facilitates the decision.
Yeah, because what I foresaw, and I told some of them, which I think saying it here is not about betraying everybody. If you are a serious nationalist group, you don't go around like a dog all over the place. If you are called in Samaria, you go, in Judea, you go. You stay somewhere and say, you come and meet me here. And when you start doing that, people kind of judge. It's a government. We have to know that you are fighting against a legitimate government that has all tentacles and everything, how to test waters. I think what happened is that what happened in Switzerland, I think, what happened in Switzerland sparked what happened right now. Because I think the government went by and saw them and saw that they were really not leaders. And they really had commanded very little or no influence. Because one, you cannot have, you take example from other parts of the world. When Nelson Mandela in 1961 was jailed, do you think that the ANC kind of splintered around in 100 groups fighting against each other? No. It is true, you had what was called like the Azanian People's Party or the BAC. You had the mother ANC. You did not have a multiplicity of people fighting against each other. And then when you bring them around, you quickly find out that they are not leaders, they are fighting for themselves. And if you are fighting for yourself, unlike those 10 individuals who are in jail, you think that the adversary takes you seriously. So it is true that's why I say we must not be emotional in this thing. We are crying, but we must also be courageous enough to accept that we are the architect of our own fall today. If Ayub Tabe says he's a leader and you get up and say, no, who is Ayub Tabe? What is your pedigree? And what do you think that the regime is going to say? So while we are crying, we need to also understand that we are the architect of our own fall. Our fathers, those who had like the Southern Cameroon National Council, they didn't do this trash that you used to see. It is true they used to have splinter groups, but you never saw them insulting each other on social media or holding parallel meetings and things like that. Okay,
we've just been joined by the CRM's militant, Salomon Bias. He's a jurist and a fervent militant of the CRM movement. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Bonsoir Léo, je suis vraiment très fatigué. Je voudrais d'abord m'excuser auprès de nombreux téléspectateurs de My Media Prime qui sont scotchés en ce moment en train de voir comment on croise le web. Je suis arrivé en retard pour des contraintes indépendantes de ma volonté.
On va en parler parce que presque toutes les routes sont
gâtées.
Oui. Mais vous ne m'avez pas dit qu'Eli Smith était convié, c'est mon ami, j'aurais tout fait pour boycotter tous mes programmes aussi.
Ok, bon, quand vous avez appris que Ayoub Tabé et les autres ont été condamnés à vie, est-ce que votre parti politique a pris position ou a pris acte?
Premièrement, la crise anglophone dans son entièreté fait partie du programme du mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun comme un combat que nous menons parce que, au-delà des atrocités que nous vivons aujourd'hui, nous savons bien que dans le fond, il y a des causes lointaines et des causes rapprochées qui supplantent cette crise. Maintenant, quand tu as parlé de la condamnation de Seseko Ayoub Tabé et les autres co-détenus liés à cette cause, c'est un peu une déception. Déception pas dans le fond, mais déception quant à dire que le Cameroun est un État démocratique, un État de droit. Le minimum, c'est au moins qu'on puisse respecter les principes de droit et les procédures, en l'occurrence l'égalité devant la loi et le droit à un procès équitable. C'est ce à quoi nous nous penchons parce que nous pensons qu'une république exemplaire où la séparation des pouvoirs est le credo sur lequel on s'appuie pour conduire la société doit être quelque chose qu'on partage le plus. Parce qu'au-delà de tout, la justice reste l'arme, le bras séculier, n'est-ce pas, du peuple, parce qu'elle est rendue au nom du peuple, pas au nom d'un individu. C'est pour ça qu'au-delà de tout, au-delà de nos convictions politiques, on se doit de rester à l'écart et de ne pas l'utiliser à quelque moyen que ce soit pour rendre des comptes. Dans ce sens, c'est ce qui apparaît dans un contexte où notre pays traverse des moments très compliqués de son histoire. Je pense que pour des pays où les dirigeants sont évolués au-dessus, n'est-ce pas, de leurs intérêts individuels, où c'est le collectif ou l'intérêt général qui supplante leur idée, nous devons profiter de cet instant pour essayer de réparer tout le mal-être qui survit au Cameroun depuis près de 70 ans. Mais alors, nous avons perdu le coach parce qu'aujourd'hui, au lieu d'entrer dans le fond du problème et apporter des solutions, nous sommes encore entrés dans ce que nos aînés ont fait à une certaine époque, utiliser la loi ou le droit pour sévir de façon inégalée et inopportune. Vous savez aujourd'hui que tout le monde parlait du back to school, qui est comme un credo. Alors, si condamner du moins les leaders du mouvement sécessionniste est quelque chose qui doit être accueilli dans notre landerneau politique comme étant une victoire pour certains, alors est-ce qu'elle résout, est-ce que cette condamnation résout pour du moins le problème du retour à l'école de nos enfants? Moi, je pense que c'est cette problématique qui doit être examinée dans sa profondeur. Et je pense que répondre à cette question aujourd'hui est quelque chose de très urgent pour tous les Camerounais parce que notre pays est en pleine déliquescence dans toute son entièreté.
Let me take some messages. The H, moi, c'est Nana Kalis. Je vote pour l'école H pour la disponibilité des enseignants. OK. This one, Barrister Moody Jute. We are glad to know that he is watching us all the way from Canada. He's a panelist. He says that Eli Smith has said it all. Government had come to realize that Amber is an illusion in the minds of power mongers. Okay. This one says, bonsoir. C'est Hélène Gérardine Abame. Pour moi, The H reste la meilleure des écoles. En plus de la pédagogie, elle met aussi l'accent sur des œuvres d'art, l'informatique et une langue supplémentaire telle que l'espagnol. OK. You guys are voting, we are discussing. Mon nom est M. Ndedi Wanga Hilmut. Ma meilleure école, c'est the H Bilingual Nursery and Primary School, Sodiko Bonaberry. J'aime cette école à cause de... J'espère que moi-même, je vais me déplacer pour voir cette école, que tout le monde vote. Je m'appelle Thérèse Hilda, je vote pour l'école maternelle primaire bilingue de H pour l'esprit d'équipe et le dynamisme des enseignants de H. I'm sure that I hope that when I get to that school, I will see what I'm reading here. Good evening. In the studio, it is sad news for the country and for the Northwest and Southwest region because this could have been the first step for peace to return in the region, but the government just showed its incompetence in solving the crisis by sentencing those individuals. Those individuals were spearheading the crisis, but sentencing them has made the issue even worse because who will call off the strike now? And the decision has been sent back to the people, and we know we have been marginalized and treated badly. We have two options. Okay, AP is writing from Limbe. Okay, Eli Smith has said it all. Pascal is writing from Tico. Okay. Good evening to you in the studio. It implies that the government isn't serious in solving this crisis, because if they can do this to the leaders, then what more of the fighters who they are begging to lay down their arms? A lot of us peace lovers are disappointed. This is Otho writing from Boya Town. This so-called peace efforts or dialogue is only verbal. I don't see the government engaging in any dialogue with or without the arrest. Nothing has changed. My best school is National Polytechnic Bamenda. Bayika Isidore writing from Kumba. I was really happy after traveling from Yaoundé to Kumbo yesterday, but still remain on the fact that nothing will set Cameroon free from what is going on in the Northwest and Southwest regions, because you don't make peace by provoking the people you call minorities. Chef Emmanuel writing from Jakiri presently. Okay, to finish, I love the way Mr. Eli Smith talk and his visionism. Okay, I want to differ that Anglophones have once been a nation in 1961, and we should end speculations of a pardon from the president. Hello, we should not be surprised that a faction of the diaspora are very happy with the sentence, because to them, a revenge from Sisisiku on them have been put to rest. I'm sure the president will pardon him to deal with those diasporans who compromised him. Ekome Taker, I'm writing from Ekona. Good evening, Mr. Kuhn. My name is David from Boya. My best school is GTHS Moliku. We are going to continue the program after the news with Ngobason.
Music like never before on your TV. My Music TV. Your musical TV channel from BT Media Group. Quality musical selection from Cameroon and Africa. Interviews, shoutouts, and TV shows. My Music TV is the coverage and production of your musical concerts live on our channel and recorded. My Music TV is on satellite ABS3 and viewed in over 54 countries. Also on our social media platforms. My Music TV. Feel the rhythm.
Being one of more than 200 majors of HipMat, I am proud of my success. It all began at HipMat.
I am a CEO. I coach and lead a team of salespeople. I don't hesitate to tell them the vision was planted and molded by HipMat.
Today, I stand on a pedestal of experienced and committed lecturers. The foundation was laid by HipMat.
For over a decade, HipMat's credibility and ministerial recognition have trained more than 15,000 professionals in business management and engineering from HND to BTech, MBA, and what have you. With an outstanding partnership with the University of Bamenda for BTech and MBA programs, our undoubted commitment to your show's success is a reflection of the future you painted. The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, HipMat, a university for professionals.
De l'inédit au Cameroun, le tout premier collège canadien ouvre ses portes dès septembre 2019. Performance Education Center, en partenariat avec les grandes écoles canadiennes, offre aux élèves du second cycle un cadre prestigieux, calme et propice pour des études avec des enseignants chevronnés canadiens et camerounais. À Performance Education Center, obtenez le baccalauréat canadien, vous ouvrant automatiquement les portes des plus grandes universités canadiennes et du monde via les bourses d'études garanties. Performance Education Center propose également des programmes de formation bilingue de 2 ans permettant d'obtenir un permis de travail au Canada après obtention d'une attestation d'études collégiales du Québec équivalent du BTS sous l'assistance de Performance Immigration Canada. Performance Education Center est situé à Locbessou derrière Antenne CRTV 10e avenue. Performance Education Center, visa vers le Canada et le monde.
La musique comme jamais sur votre télévision. My Music TV, votre chaîne musicale du groupe BT Media. C'est une sélection de qualité des musiques du Cameroun et de l'Afrique. Interviews, shout-outs, émissions télé. My Music TV, c'est la couverture et la production de vos concerts musicaux en direct sur nos antennes et enregistrés. My Music TV est sur le satellite ABS3 et vu dans plus de 54 pays et sur les réseaux sociaux. My Music TV, feel the rhythm.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. Il est 19h45. Merci de nous rejoindre pour le journal de ce soir sur votre télévision My Media Prime. À la une de ce journal, le cardinal Christian Toumi et son Excellence Ekindi Jean-Jacques ont tenu une conférence de presse dans la salle de fête d'Aqua à Douala ce jour pour un appel à la paix et à la reprise des classes dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Le réseau des défenseurs des droits de l'homme, en abrégé REDAC, a fermement rejeté la décision du tribunal militaire de Yaoundé quant à la décision d'enfermement du leader sécessionniste et de ses autres dirigeants. Voilà, c'était tout pour les titres. À présent, le journal complet. Son Excellence cardinal Toumi et l'honorable Jean-Jacques Ekindi ont tenu une conférence de presse dans la salle de fête de Douala à Aqua. Alors, cette conférence avait pour but de prononcer un discours de paix dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Par la même occasion, ils ont invité la population entière à les rejoindre pour la campagne qu'ils organisent le 29 août pour le retour de la paix dans les régions du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest. Écoutons à présent leurs propos.
We have said that the government has a very important role to play. If there is no peace, there will be no going to school. That is to say, if governments do not stop being fired, there will be no going to school. This is a conviction I hold very strongly. Peace is capital for going back to school. When I say arms should be laid down, what can this arm say there? I do not mean that the army should abandon arms. The word army comes from arms. We cannot imagine an army without arms. But they should keep arms waiting for the use, for the time when the arms will be used for defending us. And these boys in the forest should also stop firing to anybody, firing at anybody. So we cannot imagine an army without arms, or we can imagine armed boys without arms. So that we should insist in season and out of season the laying down of arms by everybody.
We have to qualify the events. Either you are at war or not. We can say that this is ambiguous because we don't even have a state of emergency. We don't have a state of war. We don't have a state of emergency. But we see guns, you see deaths. You cannot. And if we reconsider Ayutthaya and his mates, you cannot deny that they are led by their convictions in a new social order.
La vie a repris son cours normal à Montfait, dans l'arrondissement de Mémé, après 3 longues années d'inactivité dues à la crise anglophone. Plus de détails dans le reportage de Comé Christine Noëlla.
Peace and tranquility has been restored in Montfait in the Manu Division, southwest region of Cameroon. Inhabitants have expressed relief following the return to normalcy of their daily activities after the devastating 3 years plus Anglophone crisis. The business community have commenced with their businesses and are calling on all sons and daughters who had previously fled from the region due to the crisis to return home and continue from where they stopped.
Last 2 years, many people, they were much killing everywhere, shooting, but nowadays we can see that things have changed because, everything now is going smoothly. Everybody now is coming down. Places now are calm. Everywhere now is nice.
One of the inhabitants appreciated the military for their constant effort in protecting its civilians and for maintaining peace and order in Montfait town.
Military, they guide me. Then our mayor, they don't make the way we need to fear the first time because they talk say we must open our store from like Monday. We must open, and when we open, they send people, they guide me. Military, they enter, they come out, they go round and round, so we not get no fear. Then people too, they become market. No, for Senna, it be different from that time. That time will not be just pass.
Another individual noted that the fear which once existed in the hearts of many due to insecurity no longer exists. He encouraged all those living in fear for the unknown to erase such feelings and thoughts as everything is now in order.
We thank God. We thank in short, we thank the people that they take care for you, like Joe, Mayor, everything that they struggle for calm down. We're very happy with them. Changes, they would sleep, especially my own side where they had sleep now. Look at better. I wake up, I'm happy. Changes too much, so that they say they laugh. We never hear quiet again.
With a calm and serene atmosphere, it is important to note that markets and shops have become functional, transport vehicles have become more active than ever, and persons could, after a very long time, be seen living together happily.
L'association des élites de Boyaroute dans la ville de Koumba se sont lancés un défi de rester aimables et de faire de l'unité un pilier fondamental dans le développement de leur ville. C'était lors du lancement officiel du tournoi qu'ils ont organisé en vue de rassembler les élites de cette ville. Les détails dans le reportage de Tamfo Sidouane.
The Association of People Born and Bred at Boyaroute Koumba, known as Boyaroute Pikindem, has extended a hand of fellowship to the Boyaroute community and has challenged them to stay together in love and unity wherever they find themselves around the globe. The call was made at Alaska Street, Buea Road, Kumba on Tuesday, August 20, 2019 by the Vice President of the Association during the launch of a football encounter intended to bring the Buea Road population together as they prepared towards the end of 2019. Mr. Eswa Julius declared that the association's objectives are geared towards oneness, which is the main pillar of development and best practices.
Mr. Eswa Julius Fosong, I'm the Vice President of the Buea Road Kingdom, as we call ourselves, Buea Road PT. That is an association of Aboriginal children born and bred up in Buea Road. The idea was to bring up a tournament that is going to encompass all from Park to Bisek, we call Buea Road, from Bisek Junction to Buea Road Park, we consider Buea Road. So we decided to come out with this match of 6 teams in order to galvanize children around, just to occupy people during the holidays. And it was just that's the idea of the Buea Road Kingdom. It's long time people have never been able to come together like this. So when we came back, we said, well, we should bring them together. And don't forget, we are composed of people all over the world. It's not like in Jangia or here. We have our president is from Mickey, he's in the USA. We have people, members in Britain and France, in South Africa, in Canada. We have members from everywhere. So the idea is to bring the Buea Road Kingdom together. I hope you understand that awareness. In the country now, we understand the social tensions that are going to which we live now, but we hope that with time, efforts like this can bring people together to put away the stress once in a while.
He also stated that the association is powered by Buea Road elites living in the diaspora. However, the launching of activities to live together has been an already realized dream, spearheaded by His Royal Highness Chief J.N. Fominki, who is the current president of the association. Among some of the activities of the association is to encourage growth, education and socio-economic platforms aimed at encouraging entrepreneurship in Buea Road, Kumba. The football tournament has been chosen as a means to rally the entire population to come together under one umbrella, since it remains a unifying activity, but will also be extended to other sports disciplines and socio-cultural responsibilities.
We are going to have trophies. The first prize is 200,000 francs, the second prize 100, third prize 50, and also conservation prizes. We also going to have table tennis tournaments, sack race, and tug of war.
Mr. Nosta Stephen is the PRO and the social coordinator of the association.
Thank everybody first of all for coming here. We are doing this because we want people to come together as one. And as you know, Buea Road is one of the most prestigious, let me style it, quartier in Kumba. So we are doing all our possible best to make sure that people always come together and we come up in a social way. We have some innovative ideas in order to bring up the society in a more stronger way.
The launching ended with refreshment, and the entire population of Buea Road, Kumba called to act as one in times of suffering and in times of happiness, while others have also been encouraged to join the moving train.
Le réseau de défenseurs des droits de l'homme en Afrique centrale, en abrégé REDAC, s'est fermement opposé à la décision du tribunal militaire qui condamnait à la peine perpétuité des leaders amazoniens. Plus de précisions dans le reportage de Lasha Kingsley.
The Network of Human Rights Defenders in Central Africa, REDAC, has rubbished the recent decision by the military court in Yaoundé sentencing Anglophone nationalist leader Sisiko Ayuk Tabe and 9 of his cabinet members to life imprisonment. To the executive director, Madame Maximilien Gombe, the military court has got no competence to try civilians like Ayuk Tabe and co.
En français facile, il est décrété la fin de leur vie. De manière irrévocable, le REDAC s'insurge et condamne sans vergogne ce simulacre de procès. C'est tout simplement inacceptable une telle plaisanterie judiciaire inique et cynique sans précédent dans un État dit de droit.
REDAC also believes the timing of the decision is wrong, especially now that the 2019-2020 school year is about to start.
Ce qui surprend et exaspère le plus dans ce show judiciaire de très mauvais goût, c'est qu'il survient dans un contexte pourtant marqué par une campagne de retour à l'école dans cette partie en crise baptisée Back to School, initiée, faut-il le rappeler, par les sieurs Ayuk Sisiko Tabe et Mancho Bibixi.
The human rights organization strongly believes a ceasefire and release of all Anglophone detainees is the best thing that can happen to the nation of Cameroon at this time.
En prévision à la rentrée scolaire prochaine, le bataillon d'intervention rapide a réhabilité quelques salles de classe dans le secteur affecté par Boko Haram dans le nord du pays, notamment dans les zones de Ndigina, Ouaza et Platari. En sport, l'attaquante camerounaise de football international, Njoya Adjara, a été nominée récemment pour le prix du Puskas 2019. Notons que cette nomination intervient après, n'est-ce pas, le but qu'elle a marqué lors de la Coupe du Monde féminine qui a eu lieu en France dernièrement. Les détails dans le reportage de Metouge Stanley.
And shoot, good turn, away from Percival, another great turn, and shoot, has put...
This is the magical strike against New Zealand at the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup that has seen Njoya Adjara nominated for the 2018-2019 Pushkash Award. Adjara's second of 2 goals against New Zealand is one of the 10 goals shortlisted by the FIFA technical team for the best goal of the just-ended France Women's World Cup. Adjara's goals finished second behind Brazilian Cristiana at the said World Cup. The Cameroonian sensational is contesting for the Pushkash Award alongside some of the world's greatest like Lionel Messi and 8 others. 26-year-old Njoya Adjara is widely considered as the most performant African player at the last Women's World Cup, with her goal that sent Cameroon into the last 16 classified as the greatest World Cup goal of all time. The Pushkash Award, named after legendary Hungarian striker Ferenc Puskás, is a recognition for great goals scored in club and international matches annually. Adjara's fans around the world are thus called upon to vote for their champion by visiting FIFA.com.
Voilà, c'est la fin de cette édition. Rappel des titres. À son excellence cardinal Toumi et l'honorable Jean-Jacques Ekindi ont tenu une conférence de presse à Akwa aujourd'hui dans le but de faire appel à un cessez-le-feu et à la reprise des classes dans la région du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Le réseau des défenseurs des droits de l'homme en Afrique centrale a fermement rejeté la décision de la condamnation des leaders ambazoniens. Voilà, mesdames et messieurs, c'était tout pour l'édition de ce jour produite par Lasha Kingsley, réalisée par Ewane Elai. Au micro de présentation, j'étais Emilienne Wami. Rendez-vous demain, même heure, pour une autre édition. Bonsoir.
Being one of more than 200 majors of HIPMAT, I am proud of my success. It all began at HIPMAT.
I am a CEO. I coach and lead a team of salespeople. I don't hesitate to tell them the vision was planted and molded by HIPMAT.
Today, I stand on a pedestal of experienced and committed lecturers. The foundation was laid by HIPMAT.
For over a decade, HIPMAT's credibility and ministerial recognition have trained more than 15,000 professionals in business management and engineering from HND to BTech, MBA and what have you. With an outstanding partnership with the University of Bamenda for BTech and MBA programs, our undoubted commitment to your show's success is a reflection of the future you painted. The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, HIPMAT, a university for professionals.
De l'inédit au Cameroun, le tout premier collège canadien ouvre ses portes dès septembre 2019. Performance Education Center, en partenariat avec les grandes écoles canadiennes, offre aux élèves du second cycle un cadre prestigieux, calme et propice pour des études avec des enseignants chevronnés canadiens et camerounais. À Performance Education Center, obtenez le baccalauréat canadien, vous ouvrant automatiquement les portes des plus grandes universités canadiennes et du monde via les bourses d'études garanties. Performance Education Center propose également des programmes de formation bilingue de 2 ans permettant d'obtenir un permis de travail au Canada après obtention d'une attestation d'études collégiales du Québec équivalent du BTS sous l'assistance de Performance Immigration Canada. Performance Education Center est situé à Locbessou, derrière Antenne CRTV, 10e avenue. Performance Education Center, visa vers le Canada et le monde.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime on My Media Prime. We continue with our discussions for the day. I start with you, Walang Abang. I want to quote Newswatch. Today Newswatch says, a bleak future for school resumption and dialogue. Apt description of an outcome, direct outcome of what happened yesterday.
Yes, I've said that, this sentence, the verdict, by the military court, on the Ayuk Tabe and others trial has not, it has cut down the popularity, the strength of this project of back to school. That's what I even started saying in the beginning, that, it is not going to help this campaign, to get children in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon back to school. Instead, it's going to play a very negative role because many more people are going to be radicalized. Many parents were expecting, the government to show some kind of, the judiciary, which is being controlled, which is being, puppeteered by the government, to show some kind of a magnanimity, in this issue. They are disappointed. And school has been a tool that the secessionist movement has used for a period of time. And even though there is this huge campaign, how do I put it, they have really, they have not been flexible till today about schools resuming. And I think that the sentencing of Julius Ayuk Tabe and 9 others to life imprisonment is only going to strengthen their resolve that school will not resume in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And trust me, they have the support of the Amba fighters, so-called Amba fighters who are there, who are ready to execute anytime. I think that the radicalization of even the Amba fighters and their sympathizers is going to make back to school very different. Mr. Bin and co-panelists, permit me to say something which is very essential, which is connected to this sentencing. The government might use, strategies which they think are very productive. Divide the secessionists, create, some kind of a misunderstanding and everything. But the government should understand that this war, the government is fighting an infinite war, a finite war. It means that they have precise objectives. They have resources that they employ in this crisis. But the secessionists are doing an infinite war. Infinite means that, as divided as they are, which the government thinks is profitable to them, they don't have a precise objective. They are just fighting. So we can use resources, I mean the government, for a period of time, say 10 years, 20 years, but surprisingly, they will not be winning because these people are fighting an infinite war. Their aim is not to win today. They are just there doing it repeatedly, and the government is wasting resources. So I think we should think of different strategies. Sentencing Ayuk Tabe to life imprisonment helps the cause of this infinite war. They'll be like, we have a reason to be there and keep on fighting. Even if they kill, we will regroup ourselves and keep on fighting. And it is the government that will be wasting resources because it isn't today that they started killing the secessionists. Many innocent people have died, but the tension is growing rather, higher and higher every day. So how does that happen? It is because they believe that they have nothing to lose, and so they keep fighting. Many more secessionists have been killed than Cameroonian soldiers, but the war still goes on. Why? Because they do this infinite war where they don't have a particular objective. They're just fighting. They're just regrouping themselves and fighting. Okay. And Ayuk Tabe, this thing, the verdict doesn't help the government in any way.
The back to school campaign. Let me quote another newspaper, Mutation, that says, "Spend the more ou dialogue," according to they're asking whether we should go for dialogue or sentencing. Now, the question I want to ask is, the fact that they have been sentenced, does it stop the dialogue process?
Actually, if you look at things critically, you understand that there is no particular board as per se called Anglophone board. The Naira 10 were arrested, were considered as the leaders. And if at all there were to be any discussions or dialogue, it was supposed to be the podium of sentence.
Something took place in Switzerland,
That I'm telling you, that if at all there were to be any dialogue, it was supposed to be with the podium of sentence in prison. Now that they have sentenced these people in prison, who are they going to dialogue with? That is the problem.
So you are saying that because...
It's very difficult to have a dialogue after this sentence.
But Ellie Smith, we know that the AGC has a leadership. Akwanga heads a faction. Bo Herbert heads a faction. Samuel Ikomi Sako heads another faction. We have just a plethora of them. Can't the dialogue process to go on irrespective of what has happened?
No, the dialogue process can go on. There is also a possibility that with the arrest of the leadership of Naira 10, our wish, or my wish, is that the other leaders will understand the necessity to group. Because what is going to happen is that the movement that is going to be much more structured with that which can be talked with. I think one thing for dialogue to go on is for them who are abroad to be united. But then there is a problem as well.
Okay.
The problem is that it is as if there are no people on the ground. There are some people on this in the ground here, that are like the conscience of the independentists. Those people also can be contacted and then they can be spoken with. And you have fighters who are locally, who are also operating locally, whom I understand they are also trying to regroup, because it is true, and that's why I want to append my own suggestion to that of Walang. It is true the government might look at this group as a disorganized group, which is true. Their disorganization doesn't help them, but they are honing their trade. Imagine, at first, you saw the way they were fighting. They were using Dane guns. It has improved one notch. Now they have a disorganized setup. It is going to unite, because they will look at the mistakes they are doing, which means that the danger that the government has on the horizon is that if they kind of think that sentencing them means the end of the movement, it is a lie. They are making a mistake. It means that they need now also to be on alert and try to improve and bring up a dialogue. And the dialogue should not once again be focused on those who are abroad. They should look at local people here. What do you talk of somebody like Aya Paul? Aya Paul has is the most credible nationalist currently. He has gone to jail, he left the jail, and he has not gone abroad. He speaks openly. So I think the dialogue can continue while those people are in detention. The government, if the government is sincere about the future of the country, because the thing that the government must be careful is that Cameroon is on the verge of disintegration, simply because we have a government that kind of ignores the fundamental of management. People I know, those who are revisionists, will come and tell you, no, in Cameroon was German Cameroon. No, the history is there. Yes, nobody disputed the fact that Cameroon was German Cameroon. We know also that on the 10th of July 1919 at the Versailles Treaty, the international borders were demarcated, making it de facto two countries. You need to respect those fundamentals. So the government must, if the government wants, dialogue will continue. They can start dialogue right now by being able to contact those who are on the ground, who say things that they don't want to listen to. And one of them is like Mr. Aya Paul. You cannot just focus yourself on people who are cut off from the reality. Because one thing with the guys in the diaspora, with the due respect I have for them, they have done a very good job. We know, while we criticize them, we should have also the honesty to say, were they not doing those massive demonstrations in London, in Washington, D.C., I think the government has wiped out everybody. It paid. But now at the end of the day, because of their individual egos and also their immaturity, it destroyed a very noble cause we're doing. But so now we want to do something. We must not ignore those who have decided to stay on the ground. With them they can talk and it can produce something.
Yeah, but you're proposing people like Ayapo. Is there a connect between those who are fighting, who are the fighters, who have the guns, with the persons
like you know these things, I don't want to say spiritual, right? It's a nationalist movement, and the nationalist movement everywhere in the world, sometimes you don't even need somebody to talk with you. You just look at Wallang sitting here, I know this is my leader, and what Wallang says I will obey. And sometimes it depends on how honest you are, the integrity that the locals have for you. And people like there are a number of them around. People like Agbobala who are around here. So why would you want, for example, you talked about Swiss whatever initiative. Why would you go and want to have a negotiation and kind of ignore those who began this whole thing? Those who had a tactic. And the one thing that the government made a mistake was when they arrested Agbobala and Fontem, they kind of opened the floodgate of the extremists to take over. And that is the problem with this government. The problem with the government is that they gave an illusion to the world that they were strategists, they knew how to manage. But the thing is that for 37 years that they have been in power, they have been confronted with just two main problems. 1984 coup d'etat and then the 1992 victory of John Frundi. They succeeded. There is no other problem that this government has had. Let's forget, I have no problem with Beas. Forget about what you're talking about MRC. That is not a major threat to the government of Cameroon. The threat that the government of Cameroon has currently is the Anglophone nationalist movement, which has been weaponized. They never felt about it. They never knew how to run such a thing. But to their discharge, if you have never had such a confrontation, you are handicapped. And they are not the first persons. Like in Russia, we know when the Russian Federation was disintegrated, you had the Russian army humiliated by Aslan Mashadov simply because in the Soviet Union, the officers were the Slavic people, and the Caucasians and the Eastern Ural people were the guys, the rank and file. They could not fight, but with time, they improved. Do we think that the Cameroonian government is going to improve in their management strategy? I will not say entirely no, but the handicap the government of Cameroon has is that they are too arrogant and ignorant at the same time, which makes that they might have difficulties in the future to manage this crisis.
Okay, I decided to choose some captions of newspapers. I've quoted Mutation and another one to you, Solomon. I quote Lukalara. I'm sure you are aware of that newspaper. It says, le peuple camerounais soulagé par cette décision de justice exulté. Dans le peuple exulté, est-ce que vous avez l'impression que vous vivez à Douala, vous avez des amis à Yaoundé ou à Maroua?
Exulté par rapport à quoi?
Par rapport au verdict.
Ce n'est qu'un article de presse. Un article de presse a ceci.
Ça ne reflète pas ce que vous vivez à Douala?
Mais non, pas du tout. Voilà. Mais non, pas du tout. Tout le monde à Douala vit le mal-être. Le mal-être économique créé par cette crise sociopolitique des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Le mal-être du fait, n'est-ce pas, de la surabondance des élèves dans les établissements publics et privés durant l'année scolaire qui venait de se passer. Moi-même, je suis allé sur le terrain et j'ai constaté que les salles de classe qui étaient à 80 sont passées à 150, 160. Croyez-vous, même qu'avec les résultats qu'on a donnés, qu'il y ait un peu de rationalité? C'est un point d'interrogation. Je suis un leader et chez nous au MRC, nous croyons que le véritable management politique ne vise pas à se bomber le torse et à dire qu'on est le plus puissant. Parce qu'en fait, la politique ne vise qu'une seule chose, améliorer les conditions de vie des gens et amener la nation à devenir plus compétitive pour créer les conditions d'un État qui peut s'expatrier au-delà, n'est-ce pas, de ses propres barrières et titiller les autres États du point de vue de la compétitivité internationale. Et chez nous, aujourd'hui, nous avons, n'est-ce pas, des dirigeants, dans leur illégitimité totale, qui ne comprennent pas le management politique. vraiment, ce qui se passe aujourd'hui au nord-ouest, au sud, lié à ces condamnations, n'augure pas quelque chose de bien. Moi, je pense que les dirigeants qui sont là, à Yaoundé, n'ont qu'un seul but, de montrer leur super héroïsme dans la direction. Or, nous avons besoin d'un pays prospère, nous avons besoin d'un pays qui peut compétir avec les autres États. Et le fait, n'est-ce pas, de bloquer toutes les possibilités qui puissent avoir un dialogue inclusif, que la véritable nation camerounaise puisse se construire, parce que c'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Quand vous rentrez dans le fond de la crise sociopolitique du Nord et du Sud-Ouest, nous savons bien quand elle a commencé avec les revendications corporatistes. Il faut qu'on explique aux gens. C'était des simples revendications corporatistes. Mais comme nous avons des dirigeants qui ne se soucient pas de l'intérêt général, ils ont opposé, n'est-ce pas, à la manifestation pacifique des violences illégitimes. Et ça conduit à une escalade qu'on n'a pas maîtrisée.
Est-ce qu'on peut rentrer dans le sujet?
Effectivement.
Ma question, j'ai lu l'article du Kalara, vous dites que ça ne reflète
pas.
Quel est le sentiment que vous croyez qui se dégage dans les rues de Douala?
Les gens sont meurtris, les gens sont désemparés. Tout le monde veut que cette crise s'arrête, mais malheureusement, on se rend bien compte que les décisions que nos gouvernants illégitimes prennent ne visent qu'à rendre l'atmosphère plus morose. Parce que nous avons parlé d'un slogan « Back to School ». Comment vous croyez qu'un parent qui vit dans le nord-ouest et dans le sud-ouest peut envoyer de façon claire ses enfants à l'école quand il sait que l'atmosphère socio-politique des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest n'est pas assainie? Et ces gens aujourd'hui qui sont condamnés de par la sentence qui a été donnée au tribunal militaire ont des followers sur le terrain. Comment vont se comporter ces followers? Est-ce qu'ils vont suivre? Est-ce qu'ils vont aller dans le sens, n'est-ce pas, de la décision gouvernementale? Je ne pense pas. Ils peuvent encore, dans un autre sens, se radicaliser un peu plus. Et nous pourrons avoir encore sur le terrain d'autres exactions qui vont se poser. Et ça ne va que rendre l'atmosphère, n'est-ce pas, sociale plus morose qu'avant. C'est pour ça que moi je pense que les leaders qui sont comme étant des lanternes qui guident, n'est-ce pas, la population, le peuple, doivent avoir un seul intérêt, celui de rendre, n'est-ce pas, le peuple ou bien la nation plus équilibrée par les décisions qu'ils prennent, même si ces décisions, à un certain moment donné, peuvent avoir, n'est-ce pas, peuvent revertir certaines concessions à faire pour que la paix revienne et pour que tout le monde se sente en sécurité. Rien ne sert à prendre des décisions, n'est-ce pas, à tête chercheuse, qui ne vont qu'apporter le sang et la douleur.
Now, let me read this reaction from Manidem, UPC Manidem, reacting to that. We saw Redac that was grossly disappointed in that decision. We've seen the likes of the CPP of Kawala, Madam Kawala, who have given their impressions, and a host of other parties. I want to read this so that you can react to it. Say, appelle, the ending, I just get the two last phrases. Say, appelle les populations, les partis politiques et autres forces organisées à désapprouver le verdict du procès de Yaoundé, appelle tous les patriotes et tous les démocrates à œuvrer à la seule solution pacifique pour construire un Cameroun nouveau, le dialogue national pour la transition. Now, we've gotten these reactions from dispersed ranks. Is this also a challenge or a call to political parties and the civil society organizations to come together and speak like today? We saw Jean-Jacques Ekindi talking alongside Cardinal Tumi. Is it?
Yes, I think that the civil society has been doing, its work, but sometimes we judge their function, based on the result we get on the field. And if till today things have not been able to, progress to a certain level, we are still called upon to question whether the civil society in Cameroon is actually doing its job. I mean, like we said always, the civil society organization group is not only they that form, you know, like the Redac, even journalists, the priests, you know, that's the clergy. Those are people who make the civil society organization in Cameroon and in other countries. So if things have not changed this far, if things are still lagging far behind as they are right now, I think that there is still a problem at the level of the civil society. It means that the civil society has to sit up. So if they are, you know, if
UPC
Manidem, you know, is reacting, it is no surprise. Most political parties, you know, when I had this, when I had this verdict, the first thing was to, you know, scoom the newspapers, the headings, and then the second thing I did, I went to Kawala's page to get her impression, because those are people I respect. I went to a few other people and got their impressions, and, you know, it is almost the same thing. Everybody is condemning vehemently, you know, the position of Cameroon's judiciary, the military court, that, you know, given the way things are in Cameroon right now, they are afraid that it's going to radicalize the people more. Secondly, the back to school, just a few days, you know, to school reopening, and all the efforts that even, you know, government officials have put to rekindle this spirit of back to school, you know, this verdict has come to, you know, just crumble the whole project. Like
but my question to you, you say almost across the board there is general condemnation.
Yes.
Now, let me take you. Don't you think that instead of the Manidem saying this is what I think, CPP yesterday, Jean-Jacques Ekindi today, and everybody talking dispersed round, isn't this? Because times have very, very dire, like you said, that if Cameroon does not actually take care of the situation, in Cameroon may split or degenerate into. Isn't it also a call for political parties and civil society organizations to come together? And why not support an effort like what the agencies that to be talking from
separate mouth? No, the thing is that I have criticized the division within the Anglophone nationalist group. But the Anglophone nationalist group, to be fair, even though they are refusing, they are not Cameroonian, is a reflection of Cameroon that divided. Everybody wants to be a boss. And then some people say, well, okay, I have to be the head of the position because I'm a doctor. But it's a lie. Frundi doesn't have a doctorate degree. Honesty requires that. He is the best politician we have. All the doctors that we have had and the professors have failed. Now, and the civil society is the same thing. He was saying something here, really. For a democracy to prosper everywhere, you need a very good press, which we don't have. I'm sorry to say it. You need to have a strong opposition, which we don't have. They weaken each other. When an opposition party comes and wants to destroy the other one, then the civil society is also weakened. Our civil society, how many people go around when Madame Gombe and Madame Nkom has something to back them? So we can criticize the Anglophone nationalist group that they kind of dumped Sisiko with their infighting. Our own political parties have also failed, or simply because all of them want to speak different. Look, it's only a Kindi that comes around now to look at the cardinal. We can also criticize the political, even within the church. Within the church, it is very divided. There are some prelates that are supporting the regime, some who are not supporting the regime. So now how do you want? So the thing is, instead of making those allegations, what they would have done is band together and come up with one voice. That's what I would have said.
Effectivement, ce que Elie Smith vient de dire a une part de fondement, mais ce n'est pas fondé dans le fond. Pourquoi? Parce que nos partis politiques n'ont pas échoué, du moins de l'opposition, tout simplement parce que les gens ne se mettent pas ensemble, non. La vérité qu'il faut dire aux concitoyens qui nous écoutent, c'est que dans cette panoplie de partis politiques d'opposition qu'on dit, il y a très peu qui sont des véritables partis politiques d'opposition. Et je sais de quoi je parle.
Mais au moins,
monsieur, le problème est que je donne un exemple. Je vous donne un exemple. Je vous donne un exemple rapidement. Si les partis dits de l'opposition, je ne voudrais pas aller dans les nuances en savoir si s'unissent en disant que Béas est le meilleur. Le problème du Cameroun est que les partis de l'opposition sont fondamentalement divisés et ils ont les égaux personnels des leaders.
Vous ne m'avez pas laissé aller jusqu'au bout.
On dit que...
Vous ne m'avez pas laissé aller jusqu'au bout. Parce que si vous m'aviez allé jusqu'au bout, ça serait plus audible. Monsieur Elie Smith, quand on est un leader politique, c'est qu'on a une idéologie, c'est qu'on a une vision politique. Mais quand on fabrique un leader, sans aucun substrat idéologique et sans aucune...
Il faut être explicite. Hein.
Il
faudrait être explicite dans ce que vous dites.
Que je vais
parce qu'on ne dit pas des choses
effectivement, je vais être explicite.
Oui, dis-nous quel est le leader qui a été fabriqué.
Je vais m'appuyer sur les récentes élections 2018.
Ah, d'accord.
Nous tous, nous sommes conscients et nous avons été conscients pendant la campagne et avant la campagne que sur le terrain politique, le leadership avait changé.
Okay.
Et que, non, je voudrais que vous me laissiez quelques minutes pour essayer. Non, je vais répondre quelques minutes, s'il vous plaît. Les téléspectateurs, on va rentrer dans le débat. Juste une minute. Nous tous, nous étions conscients que le leadership qui était sur le terrain était celui du mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun. Effectivement, les gens ont battu ça en brèche, tout simplement à cause des égos sous-dimensionnés et parce que certains leaders sont fabriqués par le système en place et le régime, sans aucune vision et sans aucune idéologie. La vérité, c'est ça. Même les résultats truqués des élections qui nous ont donné, les chiffres qu'on a obtenus, voient exactement la carte politique.
Excusez-moi, monsieur, quand on parle d'idéologie, monsieur Béas, votre parti a quelle idéologie? Elle est de gauche ou elle est de droite? Parce que le problème, attention à ce que vous dites, parce que moi, je vais vous dire quelque chose avec le MRC. C'est un grand parti, mais ce que le MRC a fait... Non, je ne refuse pas. Mais quand le MRC vient, il veut aller débaucher le leader de l'UDC. Ça veut dire que vous voulez fragiliser le UDC. Quand le MRC a une certaine idée, quand vous dites que vous êtes les meilleurs, non. L'humilité précède la gloire. Vous ne pouvez pas me dire qu'en 20 ans d'existence, c'est vous qui avez fabriqué l'opposition.
Mais non, ce n'est pas ce qu'on dit. L'humilité de savoir. Ce n'est pas aussi un danger de reconnaître qu'à un certain moment donné, on est sur une veine.
Si, mais reconnaissez que l'autre...
C'est ça la réalité.
Apostle, how does this decision help in resolving the crisis, the ongoing crisis?
The problem is this.
Is it that it's going to deter other people to feel frightened and then later...
Divide and rule has been the principle for generations upon generation. When we talk about unity in Cameroon, the ego of people in political parties, in civil societies, among the Ambazonian leaders, divide and rule is a principle that works everywhere in the world. Africa as a continent is suffering from divide and rule.
Je suis d'accord.
Yeah, you understand me? So the problem we have here actually is that we do not even have people who are willing to come together.
Yes.
We do not even have them who are willing to come together. Ellie Smith says something that people are focusing on their personal egos. And once ego is in place, there can be no unity. Everybody feels supreme. Everybody feels he's a better leader than the other person. And with this mix up among the people, they can never have a single voice. Africa has been preaching unity for thousands of years today, let me put it that way. And yet we are still to unite. Ambazonians have preached unity. As the so-called consortium, they have preached unity. It hasn't worked. So what we are talking about, we have to bring political parties together. Is it MRC that will join SDF?
No, not
to dialogue? It's not possible. Kamto believes a better leader than Frundi. And Frundi is a better leader than Kamto. And Frundi cannot submit to Kamto. Kamto cannot submit to Frundi. If we are talking about bringing a general voice to speak, who is going to speak? That's the problem. I want to come back to what Ellie Smith said.
Okay.
Ellie Smith said they can pick people from ground. Even the people on ground, they have different ideologies. There is an independentist and also there's a federalist. A federal and independent cannot go on a dialogue table. They have two different ideologies. If Ayapo is talking of independence, and let's say Agobala is talking of federalism, what do you think they will take as a common goal to the table?
They'll make a compromise.
That is the problem. What compromise? Because the man who is holding on as independent is so passionate with the independence to the extent that he believes his ideology is the best. The man with the federalist also holds on to it with passion that he believes his federalism is the best. So who is taking wood to the table? How do they come under one banner to go to the table?
But you did not answer my question.
What was your question?
I need to please. I need to say something.
The sentence of the sentences of the leader, the Nera 10, cannot solve this crisis in any way.
Okay,
I need to say something. I know, Ellie Smith, is really he's very clear, and what he says makes a lot of sense. You understand? But I think that from experience, if we really want to solve the problem of Cameroon, it is good that I recognize the values of Ellie Smith, I recognize the values of Béas, and I recognize the values of Apostle, okay? If we want to solve the problem. Now, trust me, longevity, because I'm an analyst, and I want to solve the problem from the root. Longevity has nothing to do with, you know, how do I call it, with credibility, with trust, and whatever. Understand? At a certain time, people fall. It is true the SDF is the most popular party. Let's not make a mistake about that. You understand? But at a time when, in 2018 elections, I'm talking about solving the problems in Cameroon, you know, generally, globally. At a time when the 2018 elections was taking place, when the Northwest and the Southwest were stricken, okay, the SDF ceased to be the most popular party in Cameroon at that time. You get it? Because that was their base. Another party came up. And in politics, okay, if you want to solve a problem, now you should recognize the strength. I want us. He may not reign forever, but at that time he's reigning.
Please, you give him. I want us to connect whatever leadership the opposition has to what we are talking about, because the people of the Northwest and Southwest are suffering, are actually suffering. Instead of the MRC tomorrow, they may make a declaration. The CPP making their own declaration. Why can they not come under an umbrella? Not because of leadership.
I'm proposing,
just because
I'm proposing a platform. I'm proposing a platform where these opposition parties come together to discuss the problems
which
of
has
Cameroon.
nothing to do with who leads.
Because
they want this problem to be solved.
Which has nothing to do with the problem who leads. Okay.
Yes.
They should come together, recognizing that in international connections, Mr. Ellis Smith has been to Germany. He has been to America. He has talked with, you understand, spiritually, pastor or apostle is there, you understand, who can bring the spiritual aspect. Because if you don't recognize those values, that is where people, we can only talk.
Let me say something.
We can only talk when I recognize your value. If I don't do that, okay, we will not talk.
Let me say something.
It is true.
You know, at the level of the parliament and the Senate, the SDF is the most popular party at that level. Let's look at the case of Catalonia. When Catalonia intended to separate from the Spanish government, what gave the UN a quick, rapid intervention was because the parliamentarians of Catalonia boycotted the Spanish parliament. It gave the international body, because I believe the Senate of this country and the senators and the parliamentarians are recognized both nationally and internationally. If the SDF, that holds the greatest seat in the parliament, both its senators and parliamentarians, they come under the banner of unity, that they will not participate in any parliament or senatorial matters except this matter is addressed. I think the UN, do you know why the Anglophones are not giving attention? They consider as a group of hoodlums who have dropped and picked guns everywhere, and they are causing upheaval in the society. Some responsible personalities that the international and the national body recognize have not stood up to point a finger at this nonsense going on.
Léo, comme Ellis Smith, Mr. Wallan, dans un pays comme le Cameroun et partout dans le monde, on ne peut pas être meilleur à toutes les époques. Ce n'est pas possible. En matière de leadership, chaque leader a son époque et a un travail qu'il accomplit vis-à-vis de la nation. Il apparaît donc à un certain moment donné de la vie, quoi que tu puisses, tu aies pu accomplir comme boulot de façon générale, il arrive qu'à un certain moment donné, il y a un autre leader plus opportun, plus prompt, qui arrive
I'm sure this debate is going to come a different day. That is not what we are talking about.
On est en plein dans le débat.
Non,
je vais parler
non. Parce que moi, je vois qu'au lieu on parle de venir ensemble.
C'est de ça qu'il est.
Mais depuis, vous êtes en train de parler de leadership.
On va venir par là, Léo. On est en plein dans le débat. Pour qu'il y ait union. Pour qu'il y ait union, Léo. Pour qu'il y ait union. Pour qu'on puisse s'entendre, il faut que la valeur de chacun soit prise en considération. C'est de ça qu'il est question. Vous ne pouvez pas prendre Léo dans une salle de classe. Quelqu'un a 17 de moyenne, vous avez 15. Et vous commencez à dire
je sais pas si vous me faites comprendre ici. What you are saying has nothing to do with
I understand what you're saying. What your question is, it's not a matter of leadership, is that why this separate declaration? Why can't they not come? It's like a loose union just for once. You have the SDF, the MRC, the very fact of the UPC, the CPP,
irrespective of leadership.
They don't want to talk about leadership. Let them bandy together and make a clear declaration. Yes, but they cannot do it in Cameroon. Period.
Why can't they do it? What I think is this: the most prominent political party in this country as an opposition is the SDF, and when it comes to the Senate and the Parliament, the SDF has a certain level of recognition. And the SDF alone, I believe the SDF as a political party can be able to rally the international. Yes.
La réalité présentement n'est pas ça. Une question, écoute.
Ok,
un mandat parlementaire, le problème n'est pas là. C'est que si on était réellement dans un pays normal, c'est que les élections législatives se seraient déjà tenues. Et c'est que ce Parlement serait déjà irrégulier. Et comme il est illégitime aujourd'hui, parce qu'il est déjà dépassé. C'est de ça qu'il est question.
Ce que je pense.
C'est de ça qu'il est question.
Non, écoutez, ce que nous pensons qu'il a posé la question est que ça ne veut pas de problème de leadership. Pourquoi? Pourquoi se fait-il que le Madidem parle, le SDF a d'abord parlé, tout le monde? Pourquoi ne peuvent-ils pas s'asseoir?
Mais en réalité,
en groupe,
c'est reconnaître le leadership. Vous savez qu'on allait à une élection à Keremouna. À Keremouna, c'était dessaisi. Écoutez bien. À Keremouna, c'était dessaisi.
Please.
Malidem UPC is speaking as an individual. SDF is speaking as a body.
Même apporté le leadership.
It's different when a body handles something and an individual speaks.
Et si les gens ne comprennent pas ça.
Let's go back to the newsroom to find out what the press had for its readers today.
Greetings, good people, and thanks for joining us once again on In the Press on Prime Hour. On what is making news in Cameroon today, the sentencing of Ayub Tabe and 9 of his cabinet members dominate most newspaper headlines this day. We begin with Mutation newspaper. The paper is worried if the life sentence given to Ayub Julius Tabe and his cabinet members is not indirectly a death sentence to dialogue. While the Guardian Post on its part carries the reactions of lawyers, international rights groups, politicians and civil society organizations on the sentencing of the Ambazonia leader and co. To the paper, life sentence dampens hope of clamor dialogue. To inform Martin, the only hope for Sisiko Ayub Tabe now is a presidential clemency. Le Jour and L'Indépendant all report that Ayub Tabe and 9 of his cabinet members were sentenced to life imprisonment by the Yaoundé Military Tribunal early Tuesday. We now end with the national bilingual daily Cameroon Tribune. The paper focuses on the ongoing debate following the publication of 2 correspondences on the social media by the Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency of Cameroon, concerning the mandates of general managers and board chairs of public corporations in Cameroon. Cameroon Tribune carries the interview of the constitutional law professor Malgroa Ondua, who recalls that Article 8 of the fundamental instrument relating to the appointment and management of general managers and board chairs in Cameroon is the sole prerogative of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya. That does it for In the Press on Prime Hour.
Thank you very much, Lasha Kingsley, for that report. I don't know who to start with because we were so disorderly in our discussion. Let me go back. No, let me go to okay. The sentencing of these guys, can we say, is the end of their political career? Are we going to forget them?
No, far from being that. I think that, like I said, that it's going to make...
Also, given the fact that they were even impeached,
yeah. No. Like I made a statement here about, infinite and finite. Which the infinite has no clear direction. Things can turn, and Ayub Tabe will become a hero. That's how it functions in the infinite game, in the infinite conflicts or whatever, because there is no clear strategy. They are just doing it for, because they believe that they're doing the right thing and they just keep on doing it. So it is not the end for Ayub Tabe. I'm sure that it's instead, it's some kind of a legitimacy, some kind of credibility that has been bestowed upon Ayub Tabe, Sisiko Julius Ayub Tabe, because the people still believed in him. You should remember that during his stay in detention, for every court session, ghost town was declared in the northwest and southwest regions, and they were respected by more than half of the population in those regions. It is true that they were not respected entirely, but the ghost town process, you understand. It means that he still has a following, and it's not just a following, but an important following that people, still. And let me tell you, we followed all the small wahala that occurred between the secessionists, but people still believed in Ayuk Tabe.
He says he's the leader.
They say he's still the leader.
We understand that. I'm not sure that somebody like Abacho recognizes him as his leader. I'm not sure that Samuel Sako, we all know what happened. I don't know. Yes, Ebenezer Konga and the rest. So, who is he coming out to lead when those leaders who are on ground today do not recognize him?
This is the undoing of the revolution. This is the undoing, because as a matter of fact, if you look at it critically, let
me cue you. I know they'll take the case of Mandela and others who went to prison.
Yeah.
But while in prison, we did not see his direct followers denounce and even impeach him. Yeah.
The issue is this: we are dealing with regions, and these factions in the Amazonian struggle, they are coming from different regions. Ebenezer Akwanga is from Ndian. Sako is from Fako. Ayabacho
is from
Levialem. Ayabacho is from Momo. If you look at it critically, and I believe each of those divisions, they have a following behind their own leader. First and foremost. That's where the division is even more critical. Because as it stands now, Siseko is from Manu. Manipu are feeling the pinch of his sentence more than any other person whom they consider their own leader has not yet been sentenced. So the revolution continues as long as Momo leader is still active. As long as Fako leader is still active. Is this division amongst them that is the undoing of this particular thing, this revolution? That's what I believe and I think is a major problem.
No, I beg to differ with Pastor. We can say everything we wish to say. There are some people who are gifted. Ayuk Tabe is a charismatic leader. And the division that you are raising up is not really that way. The problem that if you go down to the northwest and southwest regions today and conduct a survey, Tabe is still very popular, and the IG that he was leading is still very popular. The problems with people like Ayabacho and the others is the problem we have been denouncing about the opposition we have in Cameroon. It's a matter of ego. And the other thing is, the judgment on Ayuk was that, no, Ayuk never went to prison. This political world is like gangster politics. In the gangster world, if you have not killed somebody, if you have not gone to jail, you don't have more epaulets. But once you do that, you come up in grade. And the government did help Ayuk very much.
Very well.
By arresting the day he was arrested, because prior to his arrest, Ayuk did not have the certain aura that he had. But once he was arrested, his stature in the nationalist movement changed completely. Yes, there are tribal or regional conflict in every movement.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But no, the problem that they have that has killed or is about to kill the nationalist movement of Cameroon, if Anglophone Cameroon, is simply because of the amateurish attitude of those in the diaspora. They are so divided. You gave an example of the ANC. Some would like, I had learned somebody talked about Nelson Mandela. But I beg to differ with them. I gave it at the beginning. When Mandela was arrested, the ANC did not go splinter. You had about 3 groups. 3, for Christ's sake. And then the ANC was the modern organization. But in our own case, immediately Ayuk was arrested, everybody started going up and down. And they were not doing that along ethnic lines. They were just doing that because all of them want to be bosses like the opposition parties in Cameroon. They are Cameroonians. They have that spirit. They are not like Nigerians or like Senegalese who bandy around and say like what happened between Atiku Abubakar, who went and bowed in front of Obasanjo to seek his support. But here in Cameroon, Kamto never bow in front of Amadou Ndamjoya or Frunde who say, "Je suis professeur." and je suis professeur will not help. And in the problem in the nationalist movement, that's the way I'm saying that if the government of Cameroon today did what they did to Ayok, we should remove emotion. We are the cause because we were not humble enough. We were so divided. Now to your question, does it mean it is the end? I don't think so, because Ayok is gifted. He's a person who is humble. I know him. He's humble. He is able to efface himself and allow others. That's a quality of a leader, and people love him. And the mistake the government will be doing is that if the government follows what you are saying, because some people, they go watch and say, right, Phil Cho is from Momodi. Say, no, they are going to make a blunder, because the thing in Anglophone Cameroon, unlike Francophone Cameroon, the Anglophone Cameroon have a nationalist feeling which is strong, not only by territoriality, but by the linguistic. We have a common lingual franca, which is Pidgin English. We have a history that they don't have. We don't have a history that is divided along tribal line. And to conclude, like in 1996, when they were doing this, I think the tripartite agreement, tripartite, what the government of Cameroon failed was that when they will convene the tripartite, the people of Anglophone Cameroon will come with 20 or 13 different groups. But they came only one. By contrast, on the other side of the Mungo, every tribe, if you're in Basaland, if you are a Babimbi, you will not speak the other. So they are so divided. But whereas the Anglophones are not like that. Okay. So the nationalist movement will not die right now. It is going to perhaps stop, but it is going to come again like a hydra.
Okay. Oui, ça, en les donnant, I don't know,
en les emprisonnant, est-ce qu'on bloque l'évolution du mouvement? Oui. Je pense que c'est ça votre question. Oui. Le leadership n'est pas lié à la personne.
Ok, c'est comme Kamto qui est en prison,
écoutez, le leadership n'est pas lié à la personne.
Oui.
Le leadership est lié à la vision, est lié aux idées qu'on développe. Et le président élu, Maurice Kamto, l'a dit avant les élections, il a même déjà entérimé qu'il peut aller en prison. Il a même déjà entérimé qu'on peut le tuer. Mais ceux qui gouvernent en croyant que la prison et tuer les leaders vont résoudre les problèmes sont dans l'erreur totale. Parce qu'en fait, le leadership se transmet comme des maladies. Ça se transmet parce que ce sont des idées. Et on attrape ça. Et au moment où on attrape ça, on devient motivé. C'est pour ça que le leadership traverse le temps. Et par moments, il devient contagieux au moment où on s'attend le moins. Nous savons tous la carte politique de notre pays. Et l'erreur que nous faisons, et l'erreur que nos leaders ont toujours fait, c'est la capacité à ne pas reconnaître les valeurs des autres. Effectivement, quand on est dans une république comme la nôtre, où la médiocrité et le vol et les conflits de compétences et tout ce qui est nocif est ce qui fabrique le leadership, alors on passe à côté de la reconnaissance de qui est le véritable leader. Parce que nous avons un concept chez nous qu'on appelle l'élitisme, qui vise réellement à crédibiliser ce que vous dites. Je suis professeur agrégé. Effectivement, il ne s'agit pas de ça. Si nous questionnons de façon politique les récents événements qui se sont déroulés dans notre pays, alors tout le monde est conscient et tout le monde connaît qui est le véritable leader au Cameroun. On n'a pas besoin de se taper le torse pour le dire. Parce que c'est une idée. Je suis en train de comprendre. C'est Sékou Ayuk Tabé, c'est un leader qui a une idéologie, qui a une vision. Et forcément, il y a des gens qui croient en cette vision. Le sécessionnisme n'est pas matériel. Il est dans l'esprit. On ne peut pas le couper. Ce n'est pas un arbre. Au fur et à mesure que cette idée-là se transmet, il prend corps et il est difficile de déraciner cette idée. C'est pour ça que je pense que emprisonner un leader comme celui-là n'est pas de tuer sa vision. Parce que cette vision va continuer à influencer les gens et ça ne va pas s'arrêter.
On donne aussi opportunité à ceux qui nous regardent de s'exprimer. Good evening, sisters writing from Kumba. What Ellie Smith said is correct. The crisis is more of a cosmopolitan than oneness. Is to divide that. I don't know that English. Good evening, panel. We should be remembered that some years ago, the president says, when you're on the breath, Cameroon is fine. Ken is writing from Douala. Okay, Ken, your message is gotten. I think the timing of the jail sentence of the Ambazonian president and the arrest by Mr. Biya is very wrong. I'm sure it's the judiciary and not Mr. Biya that president. It's very wrong, as it will go a long way to keep peace far away from us and this proclamation is coming at a time when everyone was trying for school doors to be open in the two regions. This at times makes me to really ponder whether the Cameroonian government really wants to put an end to this crisis. King Jr. writing from Bamenda, Barrister Moody writing from Canada, Biya is the sole beneficiary of the confusion that exists amongst political parties, civil society, the church and Anglophones who are unable to organize themselves and produce one leader to lead them. Sentencing Sisisiku and Co is what any other government in the world would do. How do you explain that Barrister Fru Johnson is now a full-fledged secessionist? How do you expect Biya to believe in people who don't have a position? Okay. You make me laugh, Barrister. Sorry, please. Greetings to you all in the studio. I'm happy for the program, sir. My own contribution is this government is really confused with their decision. They're doing all this because none of their families are part of this suffering. Just the day the Ambazonian leaders were sentenced, we have lost many souls here in the Southwest. So what type of dialogue are they talking about? Okay. Good evening, Leo. Thanks for all the efforts you and your panelists have been doing to try to discuss the problems that affect this country. But the truth is, it's like you people are throwing water on the duck's back. There is no justice in Cameroon because justice in Cameroon is the head of state. Okay, Idris is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm Cho Prince. My best school is BGS Moliko. The sentencing of Mr. Ayuk Tabe and the other is just worsening the situation in line with the goal of the back to school. People whose houses have been burnt down, where would they go to school? Okay. Good evening to you all. To sentence Ayuk Tabe to life is not the solution. The government has failed. All we need is a peaceful dialogue for peace to come back in Cameroon. People are dying every day. Is that what we really need? Let the government be serious now. Do we want children to go back to school? Please, government should do something and to do it fast. Mr. Lawson writing from Yaoundé. My best school is GBHS Bamenda. The government has done the worst blunder. Life has priority over education. Loom is writing from Bamenda. Okay. I want to read some more. 25 of them.
Oui, mon frère.
Greetings, panel. How can we wipe the water on the floor while the tap is still flowing? Judune is writing from Boya. A wrong decision are the appropriate to restore peace through school redemption. Wrong move. Maureen is writing from Douala. God time is the best. You did not tell us where you're writing from. I'm Kongni Eric from Kumbu. The Cameroon government don't that Ayuk Tabe is the only one who can put an end to this crisis. We don't take orders from Yaoundé. Okay. Okay, you say Ayuk Tabe is the sole leader. Good evening in the studio. I'm Mark from Mamfi. I like your program. Keep up. And my best school is GSS Fight Talk. Okay. Good evening is very contradictory. How can they be calling back to school and sentence Ayuk Tabe and the others at the same time? It makes no sense. What a government we have. Mr. Ebai Ghislain writing from Kumba. I'm just thinking that the government is confused. Is the government creating a forum for peace or back to school or dialogue? What do they want? Total confusion. Good evening to you all. And Ken is writing from Kumba. Please give my number to Mr. Eli Smith. I'd like to meet him and learn more. I am Mr. Bertus Abang, writing from Kumba. I'm sure I'm going to give him your number. Okay. This one says, hi. Hello, greetings. Greetings to you too. Jean-Pierre de Limbe, le militant du MRC. Okay. Mr. Leonard, I strongly believe that the Ambazonian leader carries some serious facts at their foundation that are disastrous to this regime. And if Joke around, good evening to you people there at the panel. Please, I'm confused right now about working days in our country. Have the government had 2 days now on the 5 working days in our country, because passing sentence on Sunday means Sunday is now a working day in our country. Please, you people there can kindly tell me, because it also shows that Sunday should be. Okay, Wasa Loco is writing from Limbe. We have to end at this juncture. Mr. Walang Abang, thank you for coming.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks to the millions of viewers out there who are always glued to their TV sets. I hope I'll be able to make it here some other time.
Merci d'être venu.
C'est moi qui vous remercie, et je remercie mes companélistes et je salue au passage les nombreux téléspectateurs de My Media Prime. C'est un honneur pour moi de revoir l'aîné Ellie Smith, qui a toujours des analyses très pointues et qui, je pense, seront exploitées par beaucoup de personnes pour que le Cameroun puisse avancer.
Okay, Ellie Smith, we are glad to be part of the program this evening.
Thank you for having me. Whenever you invite me, I will report for duty.
And Apostle, thank you for coming for the first time.
Thank you too very much. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I've learned so much from Ellie Smith. He's a good man.
Okay, we want to say thank you to you who took time off to watch the program. Thank you to the production team. Desmond, thank you. Eli, thank you. And to you, Jerry, thank you. Dickie Waddy, thank you. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
News a la kind, as the spirit leads. News a la kind.
When I remember, my good people, country people them all, I invite Wuna for join me live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Friday for this particular television from 2:30 to 3 o'clock.
News a la kind.
With News a la kind, you go get the News a la kind set. I've been a radio on top of television, na paper top. You go be entertained, lots of information. No miss amo.
News a la kind.
For inside News a la kind, we got the people stone throw away. Any place where stone fall, News a la kind must come out for day. With the News a la kind, we got to give una kind thing una skin go the street nyafu nyafu.
News a la kind.
With News a la kind, now as the spirit leads.
Today we are so pleased to have a crack team of analysts who are always there to help us digest and why not diagnose issues of sports within and without Cameroon.
When you talk of National School of Youth Sport, you talk of Douala University, Yaoundé 1 and 2, they are always among the first, the top 5.
I'm expecting to have them to shine past or to do better
than their previous performances.
Il sort un milieu offensif pour mettre un défenseur parce qu'il veut sécuriser le score.
Il n'est pas refusé, mais c'est le temps.
Non. La défense s'est faite là-bas pour moi sur le plan mental. La défense s'est faite sur le plan mental. Maintenant, bon, il est quand même avec ce deuxième but. Sur le deuxième but de Lucas, j'accuse Onana.
That whenever I think about sports, think about My Media Prime Television. And whenever you think about My Media Prime Television, think about Prime Sports. Because right here on Prime Sports, on My Media Prime Television, your HD television, we talk sports. Respect.
We commemorate the death of our Lord Jesus. I will not agree with the point where she said we mourn. We are not mourning.
All right.
We are not mourning. We are grateful that he exchanged his life for us.
Is having sex after traditional marriage a sin?
No, I disagree. It is not prescribed. That's why I said earlier that from Genesis to Revelation, there is nowhere in the Bible where you have to bless your marriage, your union in court, in church, before you get to eat the Adam fruit.
How you would treat somebody's child if you were given the opportunity to live with one?
Tu deviens une ménagère dans une maison. Tu n'es pas considéré comme les autres enfants. Pendant que les autres enfants vont à l'école, parfois toi, on n'a même pas l'intention de te payer la pension.
Kind of experiences like this can kill. Just imagine your child gets up in the morning, she is a child, and they're feeding others with breakfast, and they tell her you have to go and eat remaining food because tea is for children. What are you?